Beginning today in Geneva, the organization UN Watch is hosting the first international summit for a future beyond UNRWA. Now, that's the United Nations Relief and Work Agency. That's the humanitarian arm of the UN in Gaza. So they're looking at what does the world look like beyond UNRWA? Well, the problem here with UNRWA is that they maintain deep and widespread ties with Hamas and Islamic Jihad. Just last month, Israeli intelligence revealed that at least 12 employees of UNRWA directly participated in the October 7th terrorist attack on Israel, and more were indirectly involved. Now, these reports did make headlines, but observers of UNRWA have known for years that the UN agency existed as a tool to promote anti-Semitic propaganda. In fact, I've seen this myself as I've been in Israel. Well, joining me now from Geneva at the summit is Congressman Chris Smith. He is a senior member on the House Committee on Foreign Affairs and co-chair of the House Task Force for Combating Anti-Semitism. He represents the 4th Congressional District of New Jersey. Congressman Smith, good to see you there in Geneva.
Oh, thank you very much, Tony. It was a very, very good conference.
So tell us about the summit and what's going on there in Geneva.
Okay, so the summit took place within yards of where the Secretary General of the UN and all of the top leadership were meeting at the UN Human Rights Council, which unfortunately has been rife with hypocrisy and one-sided focusing on Israel to the exclusion of places like China and Sudan, Tehran, you name the offender, Israel gets all the focus. It's just ridiculous. But we were talking about what do we do, as you said, now that UNRWA has shown to the world its colors. It has trained up one terrorist after another in their schools. They teach anti-Semitism to very, very young kids. And we wonder why, when they're 12 or 13, they're carrying AK-47s, because they've been told repeatedly that to kill Jews is a good thing. So they have spawned this cycle of hate, and that's why there were so many people willing to engage in it. And it might even be more than just 12 that were directly involved as part of Hamas. But again, the support for slaughtering Jewish women, men, and children starts right in the very beginning, and we pay for it.
Right.
We are the biggest donor by far. Trump, to his credit, ended all funding for UNRWA when he was president. In came Joe Biden, and he's given him over $1 billion, U.S. tax dollars, and without any conditionality. And so it's very, very troubling to see what happened on October 7th and thereafter. And again, I offered, Tony, an amendment 20 years ago, similar to the bill that I just got passed in the Foreign Affairs Committee, 20 years ago, saying we've got to shift our funding. If we're going to help refugees or internally displaced persons, you can't have all of this anti-Semitic hate being imposed upon these little children who then grow up to be killers. You just can't do it.
Yeah, Chris,
and my amendment passed the House. Never got even a look over on the Senate side.
I mean, I've seen this myself. We've got,
yes, I know that.
We've got UNRWA is radicalizing these children, as you point out. It is with our tax dollars. I mean, we're at a point where we're having this debate over budgeting in the Congress. Is there a chance that we could see UNRWA defunded?
Oh, a great chance. I mean, my bill passed 30 to 19 in the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. Hopefully it'll be on the floor very, very shortly. And the Senate, to their credit, included in an appropriations bill. Whether or not that bill proceeds forward in the House is another question. We don't know. But they completely defund UNRWA as well. Now, in mine, I put a caveat that said nothing in this act precludes providing humanitarian assistance, but it would require that it does not go to UNRWA, and that every dollar goes to a group or organization that's been vetted, that they're not promoting terrorism or anti-Semitism, so that we get, true humanitarian help to people who are at risk of starvation.
Chris, we're going to continue to track that issue, but you also, we only have about a minute left, you also in Geneva have been speaking to the issue of the World Health Organization. You've spoken out about this pandemic accord that they're pushing. Tell us about that very quickly.
Sure. The World Health Organization, and I just left the WHO headquarters here in Geneva, met with delegates there. They're pushing a proposed treaty, a pandemic treaty, that would bind the United States, would give an undetermined amount of, or impose an undetermined amount of money upon the U.S. taxpayer to fund a treaty whereby a great deal of power would be vested in UN bureaucrats, including Tedros, who is the man who China put in as the Director General of the WHO. And Tedros, that I've known him for decades, he misled the entire world about COVID. And he's still in that job, but there's other things embedded in this treaty proposal. It's not done. They want to have it done by the end of May. Who knows if that'll happen? I hope it doesn't. But they have other things in, like essential medicines have to be provided, universal health care. What does that have to do with mitigating the effects of the next pandemic if we have one? So it's and they define WHO, World Health Organization, essential medicines as abortion.
Including abortion?
I mean, killing babies is essential health care and medicines? I don't think so.
Well, Congressman Chris Smith, we hope to catch up with you back in Washington when you return from Geneva. Thank you for being on top of this, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Tony.